Good morning. Hope you all had a lovely Christmas and a break. I'm here in Brighton, in my little Dingley Dell area with Barry. Hello. Oh, can you see him? Don't know where he's gone. There he is. And yeah, we're in tier 4 lockdown, so just out for my approved daily exercise. I believe that's how it's working at the moment. So yes, end of the year, and what a year it's been. So let's talk about writing versus talking to your audience. Now, much as I love writing and I believe in the power of the written word and all that good stuff, the truth is that it's a poor second to communicating with people verbally. And it's just the way it is. This is how we're hardwired. So I don't know, think about maybe a charismatic salesman or saleswoman, or a really good speaker, or even getting on the call with people in your audience or people who are potential clients, and how much more powerful that is as an experience for them and for you. And so when you're writing copy, sales copy particularly, it kind of needs to do that job. It needs to stand in and do the job of communicating in a way that really, ideally, you would be doing in person. But obviously that's not practical. It's not how an online business works. So you need to get your copy to the point where it's doing as good a job as it can, in replacement of any kind of one-on-one verbal conversations that you could be having with people. And so that's why this concept of having conversations, not writing copy, is kind of central to what I do and what I teach. And if somebody gets up on stage to talk about a topic and they are really formal in their language, if they're very dry in what they're talking about, just sharing facts, or listing things, or the dreaded death by PowerPoint, if someone's just reading PowerPoint slides, compare that experience to somebody who's genuinely charismatic and is telling a story and is pulling you in, is engaging with you, is making you feel something, is making you look at something a different way, is using language that's easy to understand. That's what your copy needs to do, in essence. It needs to be that charismatic person who's standing in on your behalf. The good thing about writing stuff is that you can spend time getting it right. You can edit it, you can fix it, you can go back to it, all that good stuff. But if your writing is the equivalent of death by PowerPoint, if it's just full of jargon and stiff language that nobody's going to read, then it's not going to be effective. And that, let's say that boring speaker has a captive audience who's going to have to listen to them anyway, whether the audience is enjoying it or not, no matter how painful that might be for everybody. But online, your audience has the choice to just click away. They don't need to read any of it. So, this is why we talk about things like headlines that grab attention and using techniques and frameworks that are proven, because they help you to write in a way that is going to be more engaging and therefore more effective. But it comes back to this idea of having a conversation. There's an exercise I do with some of my some people in my academy. I'm calling it. I've got my sort of online academy for teaching copy, and it's an exercise in writing a letter to a friend. And so instead of sitting down to sort of write something from scratch, thinking, oh, I've got to try and sell something or whatever, just take that pressure off and write as if you're explaining your thing to one of your friends, and just see how differently it flows and how differently it sounds. And if you're reading it, if you're, and I know this isn't a place where everyone is, but if you are struggling to transition from, say, corporate or academic writing that's, you know, you're more comfortable with into sort of writing for your online audience, then this exercise will be really powerful. And if you catch yourself reading it going, I can't do that's too informal, and you're feeling a bit uncomfortable, then you're on the right track, because it needs to, and once you get used to it and kind of get into it, and it's, you know, you start writing more sort of chatty, like having a chat, then it becomes more fun, because, you know, you don't have to stick to the grammar rules. You can break them. There's all sorts of little extras that the online space allows. You can use emojis. You can, you know, adding GIFs. You can, you know, just break the grammar rules, and just, you know, it's not just the words, but like how you put them together that's going to get your personality across. So that's it. So my takeaway here for you is conversations. Think about, if you are talking to someone in real life, would you speak to them? Would the thing that you've written be the way that you would speak to them? I guess that's your litmus test. Read it out loud, and if it sounds stilted and you're like, oh God, I couldn't stand in front of someone and say this, then you need to rework it. Oh, some dogs, gotta go. All right, hope you're having a great day, and see you next week. Bye.